those deals that I think there's a lot of guys that get into the sport, and they, in the past, it was not a path to riches. It was not a path to riches. And we're getting into the topic of wrestling, and is wrestling a sport? I finally got YouTube up, guys. So head over and thumbs up. So is it a sport? Is it something that is legitimate? Is it something that is for real? So if you saw the movie The Wrestler, it definitely endeared you. And if you've heard Jake the Snake's story, Scott Hall, some of these different guys, it definitely endeared you to a lot of the things that wrestlers go through and the things that wrestlers endure throughout their career. And in the 80s, and I'm going to get into wrestlers that I knew, in the 80s, there was a time when those guys weren't making a lot of money. I mean, I'll be very straight with you. They were not making a lot of money. So there was definitely a time when it was hard for them to put a living together, and they were on the road a long time. And it was a very hard life. So you have to ask yourself, is this something that they go through, part of the journey, part of the respect that they earn? And I say yes. I say absolutely. So asking yourself the question over and over again is wrestling a sport? Is wrestling something that you can cling to, or you can definitely have a lot of respect for those guys and for where they fit in the scheme of things, and where they fit in the whole breakdown, because it is a tough life. There's no question about it. It is a tough, tough, tough life. So you have to ask yourself the question. They give their life to it, just like any other sport. And in many ways, it makes for a very rough road for sure. But I grew up on it. I'll tell you some of my favorite wrestlers growing up. I really loved watching, and you touched on it, Stone Cold. I loved watching some of the old timers and Jake the Snake and all the different guys. I had an awesome time, with those dudes, and I had a blast watching all the different old clips, and I had so much fun. I mean, I had so much legitimate fun, watching that stuff. So it's really one of those things. If you grew up around the sport, if you loved the sport, if it was something that you you want to be good at sports, or you want to be this, or you want to be that, or whatever it is. And I think in time it continues to evolve, and you reach a point where you start to put new definitions on success. And as you have a family, and as you have a evolving life, I think other variables come in to play. I know people that are extremely happy walking their dog every day. They make a very, very menial income. They're not, but what they do on a day-to-day basis is where they get their fulfillment or enjoyment. It's their day-to-day fun, if you will. And they get a lot of enjoyment out of that. And they're happy. And then for some people, they're never happy. They never reach a level of happiness. I think it was said best, people say it's lonely at the top. And you hear that a lot. And those are extremely focused, driven, dialed-in people that tend to have a little bit of unhappiness no matter what they do. And no matter what they push themselves to do. That becomes, a major issue, and it can cause problems in relationships and problems in life with where they're at and what they're doing, and just in general. So I think success, the definition evolves and changes, and it really causes people to go through a myriad of emotions and a myriad of changes. And good, bad, or indifferent, so I think success is one of those things, guys, that you have to take a look at and do a lot of looking in the mirror and do a lot of self-analysis and figure out what's going to motivate you and what's going to drive you and what's going to be a contributor to that definition and what's going to take you to the next level. I don't know the answer to it. I genuinely don't know the answer to it. I'm not sitting here, someone saying I have millions of dollars, listen to me, and that's my definition of success. I have millions of followers, and that means I'm successful. I have, I've accomplished a lot of things. I've traveled. I've met a lot of great people. I would say the closest definition to success I can come to for me is my relationships. There are times in my life I've had some of my relations. So we are giving away a Taurus. We're going to do that Thursday or we're going to do it Sunday, but we are giving away a Taurus. So you need to go back to your old ways of commenting, sharing, tagging. Okay, maybe I'll have either Gunjitsu or I'll have Daryl pick a winner. I'll have somebody pick a winner, and we are going to give away a Taurus. I usually leave it up to you guys. I'll give you a few suggestions, on maybe who I see out there doing a lot of activity, but I'll have somebody pick a winner for the Taurus. I kind of abstain from some of the big prizes. I do my best to stay out of it. I make suggestions on who maybe triggered me or I saw something that I liked, but we're going to give away that. We are going to give away, I have a whole pile of Tops knives. I dropped the ball a little bit, I'll admit it, guys, on Tops, okay? I have a whole bunch of Tops stuff, and I'll show you, give you an example of one. I have a mixed, it's a very mixed bag of stuff. I'm going to try not to damage the packaging, but you get the HP 100 oil, and you get a really cool blade, an EDC blade. And these are about almost, they're honestly almost a $100 value. They're about a $70 value. So we'll be giving these away. This is why I have the Patreon, guys. So if you head over to Podbean and you give to the patron helps me pay to ship these out. Okay? And that I don't promote the patron like crazy, but I ask you guys, if you head over there and it's $1 or whatever it is you give, the Patreon account that's available through Podbean is huge. So check it out, even if it's $1, shooting matches and everything else. And they might just be like what I call like a local yokel that has a lot of experience, and that's good. That's usually how it starts. It's good. Or maybe it's someone that has a lot of experience training, and that's someone you should hire or you should work with. I know for me, I can speak to this. The criteria to which I look for in hiring someone who's going to train me or who's going to spend time training me or spend time doing any level of training with me is going to be somebody that I feel has demonstrated or shown me the ability to do proper training. And with that ability and with that demonstration, they're going to show me how capable they are. And I'm going to kind of develop a little bit of understanding if that coaching style meshes with me. Now, it's very important to ask the right questions. If you go to a jiu-jitsu gym, you may ask the questions of, hey, where did you get your black belt? Okay, I got it from Jean-Jacques Machado, or I got it from this one, or I got it from that one. You may, or the Gracies, or whoever. You may ask, if it's at a range and it's shooting, you may ask, hey, where did you get your shooting training? Who did you train with? Where did you train? What certificates do you have? Now, we all know that a lot of the certificates don't add up to a lot. There's some that matter and there's some that don't. Okay? And I have probably 20 pieces of paper that say I know something about shooting. That doesn't mean diddly squat on the range, in my opinion. Because if I can't demonstrate that proficiency in 5 minutes, then I'm worthless. If I can't demonstrate that safety, then I'm worthless. So when you are going through that process, the other day my girls have to be on social platforms. There are no real journalists anymore. I agree with that. But there's good and bad, Chuck, that comes with not having real journalists. The good is you have an open platform. Everybody can be a journalist. So everybody's a writer now. Everybody's a journalist. Everybody's this. Everybody's that. Everybody's somebody, right? Like I always say. I don't see a problem with an open platform. I see a problem with the promotion of certain behavior and the promotion of certain things. I think that has to be managed. I get messages constantly about random people that I don't know, I've never met, or I've barely met, or I've met once, that just go on there and they spew hate. And they're like, do you know this person? They don't even work in the firearms business. They don't have anything to do with the firearms business. They don't have anything to do with the defense industry. And they get on there and they spew baloney. I don't have any part of that. I don't want any part of that. I don't have any time or bandwidth to give to that. I don't care, is the honest to God truth. I support everybody that wants to do something right or wants to do something good with their time. So parents and whoever else, what's up, Michelle? Parents, whoever else, anybody that have their children or their young ones or anybody on social media platforms need to be aware that that stuff should not be promoted. So AC and AZ says, I think parents need to monitor their kids because it's really unsafe. It's not safe on here. You're absolutely right. John, did you hear Stop and Shop workers are in strike? None of their employees are working in all my New York, Rhode Island, and other states because they're making them pay $90 for their benefits instead of $20. It sounds like a union thing. I have not heard the story. Thank you for bringing light to it.